All right, listen. Give me a. You can ask. I'll answer a few questions, and we have about 20 minutes, and I'll answer any question at all. If you got a question, here's your chance. Yeah, bro, go ahead.
So you mentioned that you're a libertarian.
Yeah. Yeah. What do I do in terms of spirituality to keep myself grounded? Well, I don't believe in a God. Like, I don't believe in a creator God. Like, it's not that I don't believe. I just can't get there. It doesn't make sense to me, right? One day when I was young, I realized, look, the vast majority of us, I mean, we're born into the religion of our parents, okay? And some of us at a very early age abandoned that, and many of you turned away from the religion of your parents, as evidenced by last class. How many of you stood when I asked that question? But one day when I was, fairly young, I don't know, I realized that sociologically, we're born into the religion of my parents. My parents were Methodist. I was born Methodist. Like, that makes no sense, right? It makes no sense. And then to believe that that's the only way to truth, it's like, that makes absolutely no sense, because I just happen to be born into this, so I'm like, okay. Like, that, it's just absolutely silly and inane for me, just for me. So therefore, I just let it go. And I said, well, I'm going to then embrace all the religions and spiritual traditions of the world. And so wherever I am, I'm at peace, right? So I had an experience in a Shinto temple in Japan one time where God entered my body. I mean, I knew God was in my body. I had an experience at a sweat lodge, a Native American sweat lodge, where my body was overtaken by another being, right? And it was like this, whoa, and I was like in the heavens, right? So I have those kinds of experiences to go on, right? I wasn't on drugs on either of those, by the way. So that's just how I do it. That's not how everyone has to do it. It's fine, just pick a religion and go with it, because they're all the same, really. You can say, okay, they're not the same. Well, I'm just speaking as a sociologist. They all have the golden rule. That's the only thing you need. Just embrace that. So, like, if you're really strongly Christian, if you're living with Christ, then you understand what it means to live with the Buddha, and you understand what it means to live with Allah. You get that. It's pretty simple, actually. And so that's what it is. So that's what I do. Listen, man, do I believe in free will? No, I'm a sociologist. There's no such thing as pure freedom. Everything we do is shaped by factors and forces around us. Every single thing. So I don't believe in free will. I don't believe in it. No. I mean, no, freedom is an illusion, largely. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Do you smoke weed?
Weed?
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal, man. So I'm actually a licensed Pennsylvania caregiver, and which means that I am licensed in the state of Pennsylvania to help people who have their medical marijuana licenses to purchase, I can purchase for them. I help them with, what to do, how to use it, dosages, all that kind of stuff. So I just happen to believe in that. I think it can be abused. I think it is abused a lot. I think, I think it's problematic. So yes, I am licensed. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And I do not test their medicine for them. I test my own. But here's the deal, right? From a very early age, I recognized that, and I mean a really early age. I mean, I was like 14 when I had this idea, because I lived in a world of a lot of drug use, okay? So at a very early age, I recognized that it was going to be much better for me if I could get high without drugs. So I spent my life searching for, really working on that. It's much better, man. It's less expensive. It's really cool.
Hi. I was just wondering, why do you come back every semester? Why do you teach this class? Like, what is your motive? What are you trying to instill in people? Like, if you said last class that it's a lot, like it's a lot to manage this class. It can be difficult at times, but you continue to do it. Why?
Look, so first off, I'm actually really shy. Okay, so if you come to my house, if you see me, if I go to a party or something and I'm with like 10 or 15 people, I'm like I'm the quiet guy sitting off on the side. I don't like to be the center of attention. I really don't. Some reason in a class like this, it's theater. Like it's like opera. Like people who are into musical theater, and they're just normal people, and then you give them a microphone, and they break out in a song and a dance, and you're like, where did that come from? Musical theater people, right? So it's kind of like that for some reason. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I never chose to teach. I never thought it. I never wanted to teach. It's not what I would ever do. But for some reason, every time I tried to stop doing it, the life force, God, whatever, would just sort of push me back in that direction. So I just do it because I just don't do anything else, I guess. It's really pretty much that simple.
Coke or Pepsi?
Dude, neither, man. I don't, unless I'm having a Cuba Libre, I never drink I drink probably 6 sodas a year.
Okay, but if you had to pick.
Coke, man. Yeah. Dude.
So you talked about like getting naturally high instead of using drugs. So what's the best natural high you said you've like experienced in your life?
Well, it's like, look, all things is just a way to, all we're trying to do is alter our consciousness, right? Like little kids, everyone does it. Little kids do it. 3-year-olds, why do they spin around? They spin around to get dizzy because it's fun. They want to somehow alter their consciousness, right? It's just what happens. So any way to alter one's consciousness, like in some kind of way that just allows us to think or feel or experience life differently is where we want to go. So any way to do, there are 1,000,001 ways to do it, but one, minute, just experience your body. Just lay silently in bed and imagine that you're going to die any moment. And just feel that feeling of your last moment. And suddenly your body, it just changes. I don't know. You just keep trying things out. It's different for everybody.
What has been your most impactful trip that you've went on in your life? I know you talked about going to Iraq and places around the world. What's been your favorite trip?
So listen, there are probably 2, right? One is Japan, because Japan just blew my mind, right? The second one is probably my trip to, first off, I went to Mexico, and I took to southern Mexico, Oaxaca State, and I took mushrooms, and I found God, right? But that's the most impactful trip because that changed my life, right? I was a hardcore atheist, and in that moment, everything changed for me. That's the most impactful. The second one was probably Iraq. Yeah. I would say that.
I was curious what you believe the motives of people are. I'm someone who believes that...
What's that? Hold the mic closer.
I'm somebody that believes that all humans are kind of born selfish and acts like charity in themselves are inherently selfish because people do them for the good that they receive for participating in those actions. So I was curious if you would categorize humans as selfish, or and if not, how you would...
No, I think that, look, most humans are not... Look, most of our behaviors are self-interest. Right? And you could call it selfish or not, but it's self-interested. Even when I help somebody, it's self-interest, right? Doesn't matter. If I give her $1 or whatever, it's self-interest because I want to do it. So it's all about that. Most of everything, I eat, I put my clothes on, I come to work, I do whatever the case is. It's like kind of self-motivated in a way, right? But just as often... or more, but most of that self-interested behavior doesn't have any negative impact on anybody else. It's just me doing what I do. I'm standing here, now I'm going to stand here. Now I'm interested, it's all for myself. Just as often or more often, people are actually really kind and giving to other people. If you're walking down the stairs and I'm walking down the stairs, I see you and I move to the right. And you move to the right. We're being very communicative and you know what I mean? So I think human beings just as much are very not selfish at all. We're like really giving. We're very kind. There's very little conflict in the world. Yeah. You know, by the way, sometimes there are things that I say or I learn over the years. Like for example, one of the things that's really about me is, like, you take that term, you're down to that, dude. You take like that term, so here, listen to this, right? The reason also I can do what I do is because I'm pushing up against things of being offensive, but I'm actually relative. If you think about everything I've said in this class all semester long and what I do and how I'm pushing ideas, how often am I offensive? Really? Think about everything that I'm doing. You know what I mean? How often am I? And the reason the answer is actually probably, relatively speaking, not very often. And the reason is because I take things and I hear things and I listen from new generations and I take it in and I like work with it, right?
Do you think people nowadays are like too easily offended in our generation?
Well, I don't want to say that, because the problem is it's like I'm like that old dude who's like, oh, young people today are so like, but we've created a world in which here, listen to this is my response. The most quick fix way of getting lots of people to get along, the quick fix way, right, is to tell them how to speak and how to act. So if I just tell you how to speak and how to act. This is what people ask me all the time. Hey, tell me, how do I talk to my students? I'm like, I don't know how you talk to your students. Like, well, what words am I allowed to say? The quick fix way is just tell me what I can say and what I can't say, and then I'll work with it, okay? What that means is that we've created a world in which anything that's outside of that becomes bad and then becomes offensive. So we live in a time right now where we've got lots of rules about how to act and how to speak and how to talk, about how to think about all these things, which means that we put people in boxes, and if they step outside those boxes, that means they're offensive and they've done something wrong. So yeah, we live in a time, it's not your generation, but we've created a time in which it is more problematic in that way. Hey, by the way, thanks for the semester. It was a good semester, right?